Factor completely 4q squared minus 20 times q times r to the fourth. Now, when we factor, we are looking in this form for something that is common before the minus sign and also common to the term that is after the minus sign. There's actually quite a number of things that are in common because there's a 4 factor right here, but also the 20 is hiding a 4, right? We can say that the 20 is 4 times 5. So another way to read this, not as efficient, but just helpful right now, is to read this as 4 times 5 times q times r to the fourth. And I did say times all of those times. One other thing is we should note that this exponent 2 just means that this q squared, or q to the second power, that's one fine way to say it. But we can also think of this as q times q, because that's what squaring does. So we could say in a more long-winded fashion that this is 4 times q, and over here we could say that this is 4 times 5 times q times r times r times r times r. So just amongst the things that are getting multiplied with each other, we're just asking for what did we hear here that we also heard over here. And so we heard a 4 here and hiding inside the 20, and then we heard a single copy of q hiding amongst the q squared, and there's a q here. Now there's 4 factors or 4 copies of r here, but there are none over here. So we'll factor out everything that we can, and that is both a 4 as well as a q. And this is written outside of newly drawn parentheses right here, and then this minus sign symbol is just to copy the minus sign that's right there. Now we ask to fill in this spot, and we have to think about this factoring that we're being asked to do is actually undoing the distributive law. So what would we do if we were distributing? We'd have 4q times whatever gets filled in this spot to create a 4 times q, and to create that square, right, that missing extra factor of q, there's got to be a q there in parentheses right before the minus sign. Same sort of deal. We have 4q times whatever we need to write in after the minus sign here. That's going to create for us a 20 times q times r to the fourth. So we'll see that before we even discuss letters, we're going to need a number 5 in here because the 4 times the 5 that we will write in will create the 20. We already have this q accounted for. That's going to make that q, but there's no r of any power outside the parentheses, so we will need to count for that here. So we'll have an r to the fourth in here as well. I believe, if I haven't left out anything or forgotten, that will be a 5 times r to the fourth in right there.